In today's video, we are back once again on Anime Strike Simulator, where today I'm going to be explaining the best way in order to get max drops inside of this game. Since yes, a lot of you recently have been asking me, SMG, how do I get OP drops like you? But don't worry, by the end of this video, you will know exactly what I've done, so then you can get really OP drops just like this. However, just before we jump into today's video, just want to quickly say, if you do end up enjoying it and want to see more, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button with notifications on. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right into this. So first things first, let me quickly explain how exactly this video is going to work. So starting off, you see all these worlds over here. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through each and every single one, and I'm going to be explaining how you can get drops multipliers from each of those worlds. For example, starting off over here in the second world, aka the Clover Kingdom, there is actually a way to kind of boost your drops pretty significantly, really easily. And that is going to have to do with this grimoire page over here. Yes, that's right, there is a drops page in the game. And pretty much how you get it is you have to roll for it, either from the merchant in this world, you know, the one found on the opposite side of the map, this one, or as well you can head on over to the Titan City and also roll for it at this merchant over here, since I'm pretty sure this one drops it as well. Not entirely sure. But the reason that I would suggest probably opening up from this merchant rather than the other one is because at the other merchant, the grimoire page chance is like 62%, whilst this one over here is practically guaranteed. So for those reasons, this is why this merchant is better. Plus as well, apart from the chances being better, it is also, what's the word, a bit more practical to do, since you know right now the majority of the grinding usually involves the Protect Totem, and you know whilst you're going to be grinding out the Protect Totem, you are going to be getting the watches in order to spin for that merchant. So yeah, it's kind of like doing two things at once at the same time, which you know will make grinding pretty easy. But in the end, it is up to you whether you want to hatch from this merchant or the other one. Just decide, since it shouldn't even take that long to get them. I mean, you're probably going to be spending like maximum a few hours rolling. And then once you go ahead and get the drop pages, all you have to do is just equip them on some secret grimoires, since you know they do have 3 grimoire page slots each. And of course, the more pages you have, the more it's going to add up. So then that way you can get yourself a pretty nice boost. But anyways, just like that, the second world is done, which means that we can now move on to the next way in order to get drops, which is going to have to do with the Psycho City. Now for this world, it is pretty straightforward. All you really have to do is you need to go ahead and roll yourself this secret passive, the Galactic Force, where in this case, once you get it, it will be giving you 15% drops. So yeah, this is another OP way in order to get a little bit extra multiplier. However, I do highly recommend that when you are going for this, make sure that you have Slayer level 16 from the Snowy Forest, so then that way you get insta spin. You know, the thing that when you roll for, let's say, serial killer and then you put it on, it's going to be spinning as fast as this. And as well, considering how many ways there are, you know, to get passive rings, the only issue that you're gonna have is, you know, time spent rolling, and once you get Slayer level 16, that pretty much gets solved. Plus as well, even if you don't have insta spin and you just, you know, say, I'm gonna go for it anyways, it's still going to be worth it in the end, because you know 4 times power, 3 times damage, 1.6x stars, all of that stuff is just going to be helping you out with progression. So grinding for this anyways, you know, even if you're brute forcing it, it's still gonna be worth it in the end. But anyways, let's move on from there to the fourth world, aka the Earthing Planet, I believe it's called. Yeah, this one. Pretty much how to get drops in this world is going to have to involve the upgrades machine. You know, this upgrade over here, where you can get a maximum of 45% extra drops, and all you have to do is just grind out magic crystals. You know, that's pretty easy currency to get. But then again, it might be easy for me since, you know, I do get a bunch of drops. But don't worry, I'm going to show you a method on how to get magic crystals really easily in case you're struggling. Now this method is really simple. The only downside to it is that you do need to wait for a 2 times drops event to happen, since if one isn't active, then this method is not going to work. And the reason being is because when you roll for the merchant in a 2 times drops event, you can get pretty much 2 times of everything. For example, 2 times grimoire pages, 2 times potions, 2 times keys. And actually, in fact, that is what we need, 2 times keys. Because when you summon a key, or should I say summon a spawn boss. For example, let me just do one right now and then take it out. As you can see, it is going to be dropping a bunch of magic crystals. For example, in that case, I got 300, but if you have low drops, I think it will be around 100 or something like that for you guys. And yeah, when you compare that to how much does it cost to roll at this merchant, it's only 125. So when you pair that up with, you know, 2 times drops for the keys, so you get 2 keys, and then from those 2 keys, you get 2 times drops, and as well, maybe you get a friend, so then, you know, whilst one of you is AFK taking them out, the other person is just, you know, spam spawning. All of that is pretty much going to add up to getting a bunch of magic crystals really easily. And yeah, once you're done with, you know, maxing out that drops upgrade in the Earthing planet, we can move on to the next world, aka the Slayer Forest. Now in this case, it is going to actually be relatively simple in order to get, you know, drops. All you have to do is upgrade your Slayer level, which is relatively simple. I mean, all you have to focus on, you know, is getting ranks, chakras, kills. So then that way, once you max out the Slayer level, it is going to be giving you 19%. However, I'm sure that you guys are probably wondering, SMG, I'm struggling so much with, you know, getting the Slayer level. What do I have to do in order to get kills, for example? But don't worry, just like the magic crystals, I have an OP method for you guys to grind out kills really easily. And you want to know the best part? It doesn't even matter if you have a sentinel or not, since in the end, it is going to be working out for both of you guys. For example, just have a look over here at these 2 Garas. If you just stand in between them, you are going to be able to defeat them really easily. As you can see, my sentinel attack is not even on, which means that, you know, you don't need any sort of range multiplier in order to take them out. In fact, I think the only thing that's going to be holding you back is just going to be your swing speed. If you can just like get that sorted by, I don't know, putting on an autoclick or something, you're going to be able to get like 2 kills every like 2 seconds or something like that. Hence why, for that reason, that method is really good. But then again, let's say if you have a sentinel and you're saying, SMG, why would I do that if I have a sentinel? And yes, I know, just give me a moment, I'm gonna explain. So let's say you have a sentinel, you just got it, you know, it has a relatively low range. What I would recommend is you stand in between these 3 Sakuras, so then that's way you can take them out. If I'm not mistaken, you might be able to take them out with like, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 upgrades to the range, which means that you aren't really going to need to spend like that much time in order to unlock this part of the method. So yeah, once you unlock, you know, the range that you need, you're going to be upgrading from like 2 kills every 2 seconds to 3 kills. But that's not even the maximum, since if you have, let's say, a really OP range like me, as you can see, if I put on my sentinel attack, I am going to be taking out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 enemies at the same time. And hey, you want to know the best part? We aren't even done yet, since if I go ahead and head on over to my passives page, you can actually equip the serial killer if you do have it. And the reason being for why you want to equip it is because, as you can see, it will times 5 your kill multiplier, which in other words means, remember how I was getting 5 kills every like 2 seconds? That number has jumped up to 25, or let's say you're only taking out 3 times 5 is 15, and even let's say you're only taking out 2 times 5, that's still 10 kills. Yeah, I highly recommend you get this serial killer passive as soon as possible. And even if you're not able to get it, this method is still going to be pretty good. But anyways, once you're done with, you know, getting the kills needed for the Snowy Forest, we can now move on once again. Now in this case, for the next part of how to get more drops, there isn't really a specific world. And the reason for that is because the next thing that I'm going to be talking about is going to be the artifacts. Since yes, in case you didn't know, you can actually get some drops multipliers from some certain artifacts. For example, there is... let me see if I can find it. This one over here, the Empowered Ruby, it gives you 10% drops, and if I'm not mistaken, you can get it from the merchant found in the Pink Land. You know, this one right over here. And all you really have to do in order to get it is you just need to AFK on enemies around the world until eventually you get enough of the pink rocks, pink gems, whatever you call them, in order to buy it. If I'm not mistaken, it costs like 4.5k or 3.5k, something like that. Which in other words means that, you know, you do have to AFK here for quite a while. But then again, it's not really going to take that long, because if you did all of the previous methods in order to get extra drops, then it should be making, you know, the grind for this pretty easy. But back to what I was saying before, there are still a bunch more artifacts that give you drops. For example, if I'm not mistaken, there is a secret one. In fact, here's a screenshot of it over here, the Stellar Force. This is from like the Hunter Raid, if I'm not mistaken. And as you can see, it gives you 5% drops. And then apart from that, I think that's relatively all of the artifacts, at least the free-to-play ones. So yeah, in total, from artifacts, you're going to be getting a solid extra 15%. But hold up, that 50% can actually jump up a little bit more, since if you pair that up with the follower rewards, since if I'm not mistaken, some of them give drops. Yes, for example, for following Bikyodo, I think I said his name right, that gives you 10%. Then as well, I believe there's another one. Yes, for following Yoshi, you get an extra 15%. And then when you add all of that up, 15%, 10%, that's like 25% on top of the 15%. That is going to be totaling at 40% extra drops. And oh yeah, by the way, that 40% is going to be coming in really handy for what I believe is going to be the final thing of today's video, and that thing is going to have to do with the Hunter Village. Now, in case if you have absolutely zero clue what I'm talking about, I am talking about the Nen upgrades, since yes, there is another upgrade where you can get more drops. However, in this case, instead of costing magic crystals or, you know, any sort of currency, it is going to be costing these purple flames, aka the Nen power, which in order to get that, all you have to do is go ahead and grind out a bunch of Hunter Raids. However, right now, I'm pretty sure it is a little bit, you know, overpowered. You know, you're going to need a bunch of power like me in order to, you know, get some decent progression in it. Plus as well, I'm pretty sure the maximum amount of flames that you can get is like 500 at like my level of power. So yeah, if you do like the maths for how much power you guys have, it's gonna be quite a long grind. But don't worry, they did make it easier in the recent update, since if we head on over to the bottom over here, as you can see, they made it where the chest spawns more often. Instead of 1 in 5 chance, it's now a 1 in 4 chance, which means that every single time you're going to get to like every 5 waves, you have a pretty decent chance of getting it. In fact, there you go, I just got it right now. And then once you get it, it gives you a bunch of everything. But most importantly, it gives you a bunch of the Nen power, which in other words means that it is going to be making, you know, grinding out the Nen upgrades pretty easy once again. So then that's where you can technically get the maximum amount of drops that you can get as a free-to-play player. But hold up, let's say you have a big massive wallet, you know, with a bunch of Robux, and you want to spend a little bit of Robux to increase your drops. Well, there is actually a way to do that, and that's going to be in the form of this 2x drops game pass. Since yes, in case you didn't know, this actually does exist. In fact, I think it is like one of the best game passes to get in this game. So highly recommend, if you are planning to spend Robux on this game, make sure you get the 2x drops, because that is going to be making progression so much easier. However, don't worry if you're not able to get it, since without the game pass, your drops multiplier should be like 4 or 5 with like everything. And yes, I do want to point out, by the way, I don't have the maximum amount of drops on this account yet, since, you know, I am missing some of the following things, you know, getting that extra bit of drops. I'm still missing some artifacts, but don't worry, I will eventually grind out for them and, you know, push my drops multiplier to like 6 or at least something like that. But anyways, guys, I think this is where I'm going to be leaving off today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, we have done another guide inside of Anime Strike Simulator, and in my opinion, I think you guys are going to really find this guide helpful, since I know there's a lot of you, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, have been struggling with, you know, drops and all that good stuff. But hopefully now that you've watched till the end, it should no longer be a problem, since, you know, I did explain how to get everything, so then you can get that multiplier up, so then that way you guys can get as OP as me. But apart from that, if you guys did end up enjoying this video and want to see more guys on this game, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button with notifications on. And also feel free to comment down below, did you find this guide helpful? Or maybe, in case I ended up missing something, let me know. Are there any other ways to get drops that I forgot to mention or something like that? Since yes, that is kind of possible, since, you know, there is quite a lot of methods and they're all kind of like really separate. So yeah, for those reasons, if I did forget something, do feel free to let me know. And also feel free to join my Discord server. It is going to be linked in the description. And yeah, apart from that, I think I'm gonna get back to grinding. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out.